Every city has its ghosts, but in Shadow City, one ghost had a name whispered by detectives, feared by families, and buried by time. This is the story of Ethan Cole, a man accused of murder who vanished without a trace, not once, but twice. A man whose crimes, lies, and disappearances turned a quiet city into a labyrinth of unanswered questions. 15 years later, the case still divides the city between those who believe he's dead and those who swear they've seen him in the shadows. This is the killer who vanished twice, the unsolved mystery of Shadow City. Chapter 1. The First Death. It began on a stormy night in 2008. The sound of thunder echoed through the downtown blocks when a neighbor called police to report strange noises coming from an apartment in Building 32 on Hawthorne Avenue. When officers arrived, the door was unlocked. Inside, 26-year-old Laura Benton was found lifeless on her bed. No signs of struggle, no forced entry, only a faint scent of perfume, and a single red rose resting on the nightstand. Forensics found traces of fingerprints wiped clean, suggesting deliberate care. Her phone logs revealed multiple missed calls from one person, Ethan Cole, her ex-boyfriend. Ethan was questioned, but never arrested. 2 days later, his car was found abandoned at the edge of a highway leading out of the city. Inside were his wallet, a torn photograph of Laura, and a handwritten note. She didn't deserve this, but neither do I. Ethan Cole was gone. Chapter 2. A city moves. On weeks turned into months, months into years. The case grew cold. Shadow City, known for its working-class resilience, began to forget. The police department faced pressure, but without new leads, the story became just another tragic unsolved murder. Still, certain detectives, particularly Marcus Doyle, the lead investigator, couldn't let it go. He'd describe Ethan as the kind of man who could look guilty and innocent at the same time. Rumors spread. Some said Ethan had fled abroad. Others claimed he'd drowned himself in the river that cut through the city. But every so often, someone reported seeing him at a gas station, a late-night bus terminal, or a diner on the outskirts. Each sighting ended the same way. By the time police arrived, Ethan was gone. Chapter 3. The Second Killing. 7 years later, in 2015, the city was jolted awake. A woman named Erica Malloy was found dead in her apartment, just 8 blocks from Laura Benton's old residence. The crime scene was disturbingly similar. No signs of forced entry, no fingerprints. And on her nightstand, again, a single red rose. For detectives who remembered 2008, the pattern was unmistakable. Forensics confirmed the worst. The DNA matched that of Ethan Cole. The impossible had happened. The man who vanished 7 years earlier had returned. Chapter 4. The Hunt. The city erupted in fear and fascination. Newspapers called him the ghost of Hawthorne Avenue. Talk shows speculated about his motives. Detective Doyle, now retired, was brought back as a consultant. He believed Ethan had never truly left, that he'd been living among them the entire time, watching, waiting, blending in. Police followed every lead. Security footage showed a man resembling Ethan at a grocery store near the crime scene. A neighbor recalled seeing a figure leaving the building at dawn, wearing a black hoodie and gloves. But once again, no trace. Every road led to silence. Every clue evaporated. And as weeks passed, frustration turned to obsession. Chapter 5. The Letter. In December 2015, Detective Doyle received an unmarked envelope at his home. Inside was a photo, blurry, black and white, showing a man standing beside a grave. On the back, 5 words were written: "You never looked deep enough." Fingerprints were clean. The photo was printed using an old film camera. Forensic experts said the background matched a section of St. Helene Cemetery, a place just outside Shadow City where Laura Benton was buried. Doyle spent nights walking through that cemetery, convinced he'd find something, anything. But he never did. The letter was the last communication from the killer until the following year. Chapter 6. The Second Vanishing. In 2016, an anonymous call tipped police to a cabin near Lake Marin, 40 minutes outside the city. The caller claimed Ethan Cole was hiding there. At 3:42 a.m., SWAT units surrounded the cabin. The lights were on, the door unlocked. Inside, they found warm coffee on the table, 2 sets of footprints leading to the door, and another rose placed in a glass of water. On the wall, scrawled in black ink, were the words, "You're always too late." Footprints led down to the water's edge, but stopped there. No body, no trace. Divers searched the lake for days. Nothing. Ethan Cole had vanished again. Chapter 7: Theories and Obsessions. The case became an obsession for journalists, criminologists, and internet sleuths. Some believed Ethan drowned in Lake Marin that night, ending his story. Others were certain he staged the scene and escaped again, maybe under a new identity. But a third theory was darker. Some believed Ethan was never working alone. Over the years, investigators found anonymous payments linked to a bank account belonging to Margaret Cole, Ethan's estranged sister. She denied any involvement, claiming she hadn't seen him in over a decade. Still, questions remained. Who made the anonymous tip that led to the cabin? Who left the photo at Doyle's house? And who knew enough to keep Ethan one step ahead of law enforcement? Chapter 8: The Detective's Downfall. Detective Doyle's obsession with the case consumed him. He spent his retirement combing through files, visiting old witnesses, even visiting the lake monthly. Friends said he became paranoid, convinced that Ethan was still watching him. In 2021, Doyle was found dead in his apartment. No foul play was suspected. But on his desk, police discovered a single rose. No one ever claimed responsibility. The case that had haunted Doyle for more than a decade ended the way it began, in silence. Chapter 9: The New Lead. In 2023, a private DNA testing company working on cold cases flagged a new sample from an abandoned train station north of the city. It matched Ethan Cole. Investigators were stunned. The sample was fresh, less than 6 months old. The discovery reignited the case. If true, it meant Ethan had not only survived the lake, but had returned to the city once again. Police increased patrols near the industrial district, where multiple reports claimed a man was seen leaving roses at old crime scenes. But once more, when they arrived, he was gone. It was as though Ethan Cole existed only between the moments people were brave enough to look for him. Chapter 10: The Psychology of a Ghost. Criminal profilers describe Ethan as an organized, intelligent sociopath, someone who plans meticulously and thrives on control. But others believe his crimes were personal, driven not by hatred, but by a need for attention. Every murder, every message, every rose seemed designed to send a message. I'm still here. And the disappearances? Maybe they weren't escapes. Maybe they were performances. To Ethan Cole, vanishing wasn't about hiding. It was about being remembered. Chapter 11: The Legacy of Fear. 15 years later, the legend of Ethan Cole remains alive in Shadow City. Residents still talk about him, in whispers. Abandoned buildings are vandalized with roses. Teenagers dare each other to visit the lake at night. But beneath the urban legend lies real pain. Families of victims, unanswered questions, and a police department haunted by its failure. For those who remember the early days of the investigation, it's not just about one killer. It's about a city that lost its innocence, a place that once believed evil couldn't hide among them. Now they know better. Chapter 12: Closing Reflection. 15 years. 2 murders. 2 disappearances. And still, no body, no proof, no closure. Maybe Ethan Cole is dead. Maybe he's alive. Or maybe, in some strange way, the legend of his ghost has become bigger than the man himself. Every few months, someone reports seeing a tall man in a black hoodie walking alone through the city streets. Always silent. Always holding a single rose. And by the time police arrive, he's gone. In the end, perhaps Ethan's greatest crime wasn't murder. It was turning fear into faith. Because in Shadow City, people don't just remember him. They believe in him. And as long as they do, the killer who vanished twice will never truly disappear.